They should have had their kill bells ready. Space shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, I can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
The motherfucking intro. I'm just trying to get that money like 1-0-0-0-0-0-0-0-0-0. I'm here with Gino.
Hey, danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player. Feeling like Pac, represent. On my block, try to knock me down, but I come up on top. Yeah, they wanna see me flop. Got a plot, want a lot, I won't stop on my pops. Got so many flows, it's insane. They don't really understand the game. Got a plan and it's plain, I ain't playing. I'm just trying to gain. I wanna get that big bag, need that D-Rex. Blow up tic-tac with a blue cheese at. I don't give a fuck about your feedback. Eat that, get back, sit back, watch me spit that, kick back. Got so many flows, yeah, they think that I'm insane. Ghetto kids in a lot of pain, all about the bills, ain't shit changed. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game, I'm a player. If you a hater, I don't hate you. I'm just really happy that I ain't you. I just wanna thank you. You kept me motivated, so now I motivate you. There's a lot of cake, money on my mind like a banker. Coming through with them bangers, ain't no room for mistakes. Lot of stake, hustle till we get a lot of rooms, lot of stakes. Good kid, but I keep it gangsta. All gas, no brakes. Got cash for the case. More cash in the case. More cash in the safe. More cash on the way. Hustling all day. Ay. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player.
Danger, coming with them bangers. Where my fucking paper.
Said I'm taking big shots, just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like the 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like the 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. They been trying to get me cheap like a thrift shop, but I told them it's my time, shit the wristwatch. They been talking way before they even doing something. Whoa. If they wanna play, let's get a tip off. Ain't no silver lining, dawg, this some rose gold. Getting new money, I'm a old soul. Yeah, I get it bouncing like a pogo. Whoa. And I'm too cold like Frozone. And my chick elastic, girl. Told him we ain't in the faking, this ain't plastic, girl. Bought a new whip and cash, now my tax is thorough. Way I'm shooting like step, but my pass is bro. The way I'm playing the field, I'm in a league of my own. And now they all in their fields, I got them all on my phone. But dog, I'm hitting the climb, I got no time on the low. Way I'm shooting is messy, the way I'm hitting the goals. I'm taking big shots, just stop. Way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. I just left, but you know I'm coming back though. And you know I don't play by my rags though. Now go and turn it up to the max, whoa. Send a paper to me now like a fax, whoa. Got 2 phones ringing up the hook now. When I'm in the city, I get looks now. I was going bad, but I'm good now. Said I had to go and put my foot down. Told him I'ma get it and go. Even in the summer, man, they knowing I'm cold. I got a couple checks coming that I made out the flows. Might get a couple more popping if I do it some more. I gotta do it for real. Said I'm back in my bag. All my digits are climbing just like they all on a dash. And they tell me slow down, cause dog, I'm moving too fast. Might go and cop me a Tesla, cause dog, I still got a gas. Said I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop, way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On the road, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream. Bitcoin finally tapping into that point of control, guys. We talk about these volume profiles with those high probability magnetic targets being the value area high, value area low, POC. If you guys tuned into Friday's live stream, you will know the higher probability case was to remain inside the volume profile and get that push down towards the POC. We've come down, we've tapped it, we've bounced. Are we on our way to $80,000, or are we going to dump down to 60K? The same question we've been faced with for months now. I'm going to try to answer that for you guys today. We're going to cover the local levels of support, the local levels of resistance, where I'm looking for the next bounces, the next rejections, my overall thoughts on where I think price is going next. So buckle up. It's going to be a good one, Mafia. Guys, I might have bags under my eyes. I got very little sleep last night due to a Tasmanian devil that I may or may not have brought into my life. But stick around for a special Frankie Candles fake out if you want to meet the Tasmanian devil. I feel like I look like I didn't sleep it last night. But shout out to the Mafia. Welcome in, guys. Let's see. We got Jason on chain in the chat. What is going on, bro? He said pump. We got Jester in the chat. Crypto Owl. Welcome in, brother. We got Jesse. We got Darren Does Things. We got Tony D holding it down as the mods. H-bar to the moon. What is going on? We got Ralia saying Trump pump. This move was driven by Trump's announcement, so fake pump. I'd like 80K before any down. Shout out to Ralia. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Well, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the Scrappy Coco. Shout out to Solomon. But yeah, we're going to talk about what I'm looking for next, guys. The next key levels. Are we going to continue to fill the volume profile to the low? Are we going to be able to get a breakout here? I'm going to show you everything I'm looking at. The key levels. We'll take a look at the liquidation heat maps, money flow, market cipher B, all that good stuff. So without further ado, Crypto Paisa in the chat. So now we can start the show. Let's get a sweet short swing. Shout out to Sergio. Well, let's talk about that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. By the way, guys, quick announcement. Short stream today for any of you that know. Welcoming 80K this week. All right, so let's jump in here. So obviously, if you guys tuned into Friday's live stream, you will know we were hovering around up here towards that value area high with our money flow coming out on the 90-minute time frame, making us anticipate, right, the higher probability to get stuck inside this volume profile. Can't break out of that value area high. Where's that next target going to be? The point of control of the range. Price eventually gets that move down, right? Money flow coming out on the 90-minute, making you anticipate the continuation of the downtrend, looking for lackluster bounces, lower highs, lower lows to tap that magnetic target of the POC. And here we are. Well. Who knew? Guys, I got to stop teaching these volume profiles because they're going to take my job. You guys are going to learn the volume profiles, and you're never going to watch Frankie Candles again. Oh, my God. But we are getting a pretty nice bounce from here, guys. We came down. We put in some nice medium to lower time bullish divergences here, got the bounce off the POC, and now we are at the very, very key level, being that value area high of the range. And if you guys have been watching the channel for quite some time, obviously just zooming out here. Come on, TradingView. What is going on here? I might have to reload this chart. But as you guys know, right, we've basically just been chopping around. We are technically still within the range. We've kind of talked about how we do have a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high, a higher low, a higher high, potential for higher lows and higher highs until we lose our major key level of support, which in my opinion, I am focused a bit more on the value area low. More on that in just a minute. But of course, you guys kind of know, like, the big question is here, as we consolidate, is it a bear flag? Is it a rounded bottom? Are we continuing the uptrend? Are we going to get the break to 80K and beyond? Or are we going to get that bigger breakdown below the $60,000 current low of the bear market? And I've kind of been talking about how I'm somewhat neutral in here, right? So I'm going to go over the bullish case, the bearish case, let you guys know which way I'm kind of leaning here if I can. And then we'll go over kind of my plans on what I'm looking for the next rejections, the next pumps, and kind of my bias here for a potential continuation up or down. Now, overall, with our 10-hour money flow, right, the idea of the breakout here, man, TradingView is going to be botched here. But for the continuation up here, right, we got the pullback here. We were looking for the higher low to potentially form here on some Fibonacci retracements / value area low. I am still holding this long position down here but at around like 65.7. So I am still holding that position, right? I talked about the POC being our two major key levels of support, right? We rejected from here. We came down. We took the long, got the move back up here, had the setup in the Discord here for the failed auction. But on this way down, right, what is our bias, right? Well, not only do we have the 10-hour money flow in the green, we also had the 16-hour, the 12-hour also coming into the green, which gives us an opportunity to look for higher lows and higher highs. And last week, of course, the bigger levels of support, right, or the most important levels of support, we're simply sitting down here. We had the POC, and of course, we do still have that value area low, and we are currently bouncing off the POC. So the idea here is if we could keep this money flow in the green, we are open to higher lows for potential continuations up to get that bigger push towards, $78,000 to $81,000. But I'm going to talk about some even higher targets here, guys, when we look at the higher time frames. But at the end of the day, right, those ideas are open, right? We had the long setup here in the premium Discord for the long here at the POC in case we do get that breakout. Already have hit TP1 on that setup, right, at the value area high, because, of course, if we get stuck in here, I'll cover this bearish case, could go back down to the value area low. But at the end of the day, right, we're holding support. Now, one thing we do have on the chart here is the daily. Oh, man, let me just open up a new tab and see if this fixes this. If we do get a higher high, can we please dump below 60K? This is kind of getting old. Yeah, shout out to Jay. I'll tell you one thing, guys. One thing, I really hope is that we don't just continue to range around here. This is absolutely brutal, guys. I think everybody is sick of this range. And, I can't guarantee we're going to break. Maybe we just continue to range around. But I will say, I'll talk about the move to the upside in a second here. But hopefully we can get this to, there we go. It's a little bit better. So, currently, right, why is this an interesting level when we pulled our Fibonacci retracement last week? And, of course, guys, I will always say this. When we look inside the profile, right, obviously the bias there was an opportunity to potentially break out of here. But, right, money flow coming out, accepted into the profile, the higher probability is always going to be a move down towards the POC, right? There's always going to be that shot that you could come up. And we did go over that case, but, kept repeating, right? That is the lower probability scenario. Why is that? Well, simply we're accepted into value. We have the money flow coming out on the 90-minute, making us anticipate the continuation of lower highs and lower lows to come, on top of the fact you're inside that profile, and that POC is a super magnetic target. And I always say I like to wait for these levels to get hit. More oftentimes they do. And everyone always asks me, right, like, should I long in here, right? This is just never an area where I would look for a long. I would have to look to trade within my bias, meaning fade the highs down to that POC. And the only reason I bring that up is not to brag, oh my God, it played out how we thought it would. The only reason I bring that up is because this is repeatable, right? This will happen almost anytime you're inside a profile, approaching from the high, getting stuck in the range, money flows on your side. It's such an, I don't want to say an easy bet, right? But the probabilities are just always going to be clear that you're going to come down towards that POC. Sometimes you get the fake out, but more often than not, it is going to be better, right? Imagine trying to just, oh my God, I'm long for the massive move up. I'm long for the massive move up, not understanding that the real high probability scenario is to look to fade that value area high into the POC and be patient for that long setup, which has already kind of played out here to about, I think it was like 6%. Right, about almost 7%, 6.5% to the upside. Of course, this was TP. This would be TP1 inside that setup. I'm not telling you to long Bitcoin right now, right? Obviously, that was the key level we wait for. That's where you want to look for the long. Would I be FOMOing into longs here? Absolutely not. I'm going to talk about some possible local areas where we can look for bounces. But right here, I am still holding my long from down here. I was not interested in this personally, although it was set up in the Discord. I talked about this on last week's live stream, right? I'm personally not interested in this because if this ends up being the higher low for the higher high, I'm, of course, still low from down here, right? Low, high, higher low, higher high. But nonetheless, as we play around with this local resistance, guys, when we look at this, right, again, I would not be foaming into longs here. Doesn't mean you can't squeeze to the upside, but I just never long. I would not long at resistance. Just like I wouldn't long into this resistance or this resistance, I would have to look for shorts. What is likely to happen here, right? Well, first off, at the end of the day, technically, we are still within the profile, right? Now, we have tapped into the POC, which is nice, right? I would feel better about maybe getting a breakout here eventually just because we tapped that POC. The reason this is such a high probability is because you have that magnet underneath you, right? It is untapped. Typically, you get accepted in and get sucked back down. But now we have tapped that level, right? Now we're coming off of nice support. So, and this was obviously also the 786 retracement, which makes it open, which is why we look at that level for a potential higher low, right? If we're going to continue to put in higher lows and higher highs, that 786 is going to be kind of the last level within this current pull to look at for that higher low, right? So it's always going to be, in my opinion, a good place to look for at least some kind of a bounce, even if it just winds up hitting the TP1 and stopping you out. But as we tap in here, guys, there's not really much of an update. Like, my plans really remain the same. The biggest level of support right now, we have two cases, right? Either we end up getting the breakout, which, of course, I would need, if I were going to take another long position, I would need some kind of a pullback to look for long. The only thing I can look up for here, up here is shorts, right? I'm not saying I would short it down. It has to short down to zero, but we're at resistance, right? I only short resistance. I never long directly into resistance like this. So it's not that you can't take long positions. I personally would just have to wait for a pullback. But option A, right? Eventually, we get the pop to the upside. to be honest here, guys, the only other levels we have above us are going to be the Fibonacci retracement from the high to the low. Right? We do have some confluence here. We have the golden pocket confluent with the weekly. We have the 786 confluent with the daily MPOC and currently the anchored VWAP. Pull this as resistance, right? So this is going to be the local key level to the upside. If we get the breakout, this is really the only thing holding us back from getting the bigger squeeze to the upside. And at this point, right, it does look like pretty clean. Low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low. If we attack this resistance, I am going to be interested in potential short positions, maybe. But anytime we're breaking out of a profile like this, you have to be careful, right? Just like we're careful on this push-up, right? Value area high is going to be key resistance. That our key support. That's the first place we can look for an aggressive higher low. If that fails, you look to the POC. If that fails, the last place to put it in at would be that value area low, which was also confluent with the Fibonacci retracement. It's going to be the same thing, even here, right? Pull back here. Money flow is still in the green. On the higher time frames, we can look for higher lows and higher highs. Value area high is the first level. That fails. Simply at that point, I'm sitting on my hands waiting for that POC. This is the next level on that 786 to put in the higher low. So because of this kind of structure here, right? Low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low. We have to understand there is a possibility that this could be the higher low. So it's not that I wouldn't be interested in shorts at all here, but if I do take a short position, let's get this stuff off the chart. If I am going to be taking a short position here, I do have to be careful, right? Because if we are going to break out here sustainably and put in a higher high, we do have to be careful on this pullback that it's the same thing as we came up here. You really don't want to get accepted back into the range unless you want to see the visit of the POC and the value area low. It's kind of nice because we have been continuing to put in higher lows here. So I would say if we get the breakout, I would be interested in scalp positions, right? I'm not going to talk about the exact setup, but that's your key resistance. If I do take a position there, I am going to be very careful for two reasons, right? Number one, if we come down, we could bounce off that value area high. That becomes the next big key level to get the bigger breakout towards about $78,000 to $81,000. And again, I'll bring up those higher time frames to talk about those bigger targets. But this is going to be major support. Anytime we're above the value area high, that becomes major support. And then again, it doesn't mean it has to hold, but if it fails, you look down to the POC. And again, this is clean because we just have those consistent higher lows. If we're going to put in another higher low, it could come in right around that value area high. So I may just look to take that as a scalp, take some profits off the table, stop loss to break even. If it continues to break out, I'll make a little bit of money. Long continues to play out, right? So that's kind of my thought process up here. Now, if we get up there, here is kind of the thing, right? I would feel pretty good if we could get out of here, get the retest. I would be pretty open to continuing this uptrend. Number one, it would be beautiful to put in a higher high to continue the clean uptrend. We also, and I'm going to take a look at market cipher B and something else that could be pointing towards that. On top of that, right, essentially, when we came up this first time, right, we wanted to get above this key level at around 74,100, right? And I'm just going to draw this as a horizontal line. We came up, we tested it, fell. Right, we failed it, but put in a higher low. We came up, we tested it again, failed auction, right? So test one, technically test two here, test three, back down, another higher low potential. Once you come up, right, the more times you knock on a door, and I know we did put a higher high in here, but at the end of the day, this $74,100 level is major resistance, right? This is essentially what's holding us back from breaking into that bigger low volume gap and getting the big squeeze to the upside. And again, we'll cover the higher time frames, and I'll talk about where that could potentially take us. But the more times you knock on a door, the more likely it is to open, right? It's like you knock on the door, Bitcoin's napping, you knock on the door, the more times you knock on the door, the more likely Bitcoin is to wake up and, rip that door open and let you in. We're price, right? We want Bitcoin, knock, 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 knock. All right, fine, open the door, we can run in, right? So this has been tested multiple times, and we are putting in higher lows, so hopefully we can get that squeeze up. So as is resistance, there is confluence as well. It's not like there's no confluence up here. Golden Pocket Weekly, daily MPLC 786, and the anchored VWAP, right? So there is resistance there, right? Just like there was resistance here, just like there was resistance here, right? So anytime there's resistance, even if we are anticipating an overall continuation up, I'm always going to be interested in those shorts. But just to be clear, my kind of bias here is if we get up there, I am going to be very careful with that short for a potential bigger break to the upside for a couple different reasons, right? Technically, 12 and 16-hour money flow are still in the green. Locally, you're coming out. I wouldn't say this is like a clean trend to the downside just yet. But, technically, I would say we're kind of just flat in the green here, which is decent. On top of that, we do have a daily green dot. Looking to print somewhat soon. Maybe we print this later today or tomorrow. With that green dot, you guys know I'm going to hop down to those lower time frames, such as the 90-minute. And if we can get, this is what I'm going to be looking at to anticipate if the trend is going to continue up or if we're going to get that bigger drop down. And, of course, I'll cover that scenario as well. But right now, for me personally, I'm holding my long position from down here, hoping, at least in the context of that trade, right, if we break up, we could just kind of hold that and just have that continue to pay us out. Resistance, interested in potential short positions. However, going to be careful about the continuation up if we have this 90-minute money flow coming up. If that daily green dot prints, and you can see 90-minute red dot about to print or printing. So, again, locally, resistance, potential for a pullback, and I'll cover the key levels of support down here in a second. But if we do end up getting outside this value area, that's just in simple terms. You got to get outside the value area high. Money flow starts to cross green. If this money flow is crossing into the green at the same time as that daily green dot, we will have a market cipher B 1/16th bullish setup, indicating that 90-minute trend can continue to the upside. And again, once we break above this resistance, guys, there's not a lot holding us back, right? At least up until $78,000 to $81,000. And again, I would be looking at this as local resistance. I'm not looking at this as, who knows? Could it be the top? Maybe. But when we pull up the higher time frames, let me hide some of this stuff. Pull up the VPVR from a very simple standpoint. There's not a lot above us. Pull it up on the daily. Very large volume gap. Where does your volume really start to peak back to the upside or to the left side, which obviously is up? But when we look at this, right, we've talked about this many a times. I've covered it, umpteen times. Get above these highs decisively. And again, we are building technically higher lows and higher highs. Are they super, super clean? Is it amazing? Not really. But technically, we are putting higher lows and higher highs. We snap above these highs, guys. Again, $81,000 at the top of that zone that I showed you between $78,000 and $81,000 is really where the resistance starts. And when we look at this from a high volume node perspective, at the end of the day, I would say high volume node, fall off in volume. Right? Now, obviously, you do have other levels here that we'll be paying attention to. Like I said, $78,000 to $81,000. We don't want to ignore this node. We don't want to ignore this node. This is really where the shelf of volume starts. So if I had to try to call this, right, and I'm not here to say exactly what price action is going to look like, but if we did end up getting that bigger break to the upside, we get above that resistance, right, could be a very aggressive move into $78,000 to $81,000. This is where the shelf of volume starts. High volume node, low volume node, high volume node, shelf, right? This is like a big wall. So I would expect if we're going to get a big pop up, that could be very nice. But if we're going to get some kind of a pullback, even if it is to continue the trend to the upside, that $81,000 level is really where that wall of volume starts. So I think step number one would be to get the breakout, get the fast move into that shelf of volume at about $81,000, which of course is confluent with that golden pocket. I think they're daily MPOCs as well, right? Daily MPOC, 2 daily MPOCs, golden pocket into about $81,000 into that shelf of volume, right? So we get the bigger breakout. You do have resistance here, right? Could be a pullback. But at that point, guys, if this daily money flow is working its way up and about to cross into the green, what would the bias there be? It would be lackluster pullback for a higher low and a potential higher high. What would be the next target if we see that large move to the upside? In my opinion, from a simple volume perspective, it is going to be, whether you're looking at the volume profiles or you're looking at the value areas or you're looking at the visible range volume profile, just looking at the actual profile itself, it's really about, I would say, $86,000, right? If we pull this volume profile, local area of value area low sits at about $86,000. If we pull this over all of the upper price action here, looking at this as a larger value area, that value area low sits at about $86,000. And of course, you can see this is obviously confluent with our value areas, right? We have a value area here. You know what? I won't even mark off the local one. I'll just mark off the major volume profile, right? Major volume profile, major value area, lose this value, get accepted into here. If we impulse out of this range, very simply put, over the long term, where is price going to gravitate to? It is going to gravitate to the previous area of value, which sits right here. Impulse out of here, price is going to seek out previous fair value. What happens? We impulse, we fill the value in full. Just like that, if we impulse out of here, low volume gap, fast move down, fast move up, big wall would really be here at $86,000. And of course, you have that local resistance between 78 and 81, could give you turbulence. But just to give you kind of some foresight here, if we are starting to reject that $81,000 level and that daily money flow starts to work its way up here, my bias has to be cool off, higher low, higher highs. And then that eventual major target would be starting at $86,000. Very simple. Impulse out of here, gravitate back to your previous value area. Impulse out of here, gravitate towards your previous value area. Auction market theory, very simple way to look at the market. And then, of course, those volume nodes or these high and low volume nodes can help you anticipate where price is going to stick to, right? Price likes to stick to high volume nodes. It likes to stick to high volume nodes, and it likes to flow through low volume nodes, right? I don't expect it to look exactly like that. Maybe it will. That'd be very nice. But of course, as a trader, I have to keep my eyes on those local levels. But at the end of the day, if we get a sustainable breakout here and we see a big short squeeze to the upside, this is really the major target, right? And then if we start pulling up some high time frame levels or high time frame Fibonacci retracements, let's pull it from the high to the low. Golden pocket sits at around $100,000. Right, not really confluent with the POC, but because we're looking at the higher time frames, I'll just mark this out together. Right, and again, price likes to, if we do get that impulse, big pop up. Obviously, this will be major resistance for a potential bearish retest. But if we get inside here, that next target very quickly becomes the POC, which is pretty close to the golden pocket. This sits between about $96,000 and $102,000. Right, I'll call it around $100K. Now, if we get up there, right, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, right? We might not even have to deal with this price action. But if we got up there, guys, I know a lot of people are questioning, is that going to be the end of the bear market? Is the bottom in at that point? Let me actually pull this up real quick. Let's pull the bull market support band up real quick. Yeah, bull market support band coming in between the 81 and I'd say the $86,000 level. This would be, again, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, right? This would really be the main target, major resistance. Can we see lower highs here before another lower low comes in? Sure. But at the end of the day, right, I'll just view this through volume profile theory, right? If we get back above that POC, right, you will have the bull market support band starting to round off there. But if you get above that, right, it's going to be right here. And the reason I bring this level up is because this is the full golden pocket retracement of the entire move down here. Technically, this is still a valid area to put in a lower high before the lower low comes in. This would be absolutely brutal. I think this would be max pain. This would be like the max pain scenario. Everyone's like, oh my God, bull market over. Never mind. And this is really far ahead to try to predict exactly what will happen up there. I don't know what money flow is going to look like. Is the weekly money flow crossing green somewhere up here? If that were the case, I'd be a lot more confident that the bottom could be in. But again, I don't know what that's going to look like. But just to kind of give you some, like forward-looking sentiment, biggest levels to look at here, and also we can pull this $98,000, right? You also have your golden pocket 786 there, pulled from the last previous lower high. So if I had to mark out off high time frame levels, right? These are not day trade levels. These are high time frame levels. Number one, impulse out of here, gravitate towards that value area low. This is a major level of resistance. For sure, can be an area to look for a lower high and a lower low. If we don't make a low below 60K right now, maybe we see this go on a little longer where it gets really exciting. We put in the lower high, then we come down to the low 50s, which you guys all know, whether we come down now or we have to go up and then down, that $55,000 to $58,000 level is a big level I am interested in. But at the end of the day, low volume gap, high volume, major target. Once we get above there, we can start talking about the POC. Again, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but I would say if this fully squeezes to the upside, I'd say about 86K, right? It's the same levels we've been looking at, right? It's the same theory, same volume profiles, same value areas, same auction market theory. Again, we are at major support, as we've been talking about. Would not be super shocking to see if we pop up here to see those short squeeze. Low volume. Liquidity, squeeze it to the upside. So that is the bullish case, right? And then in that case, if we wind up, if the low is in, right? Not for the bull market, but if the low is in here locally, well, great. My long will continue to pay me out. I'll be very happy about that. And if you are not holding any longs, stick around. I'm going to show you the local levels I'll be looking at least right now. That I'll be looking for bounces if we do have to come down first. I'm not really going to cover the bearish case here, guys, not because I don't think it's going to play out, but just because if we end up coming back down, I've just covered this situation so much, right? If we go below 60K, we have our major levels of support down here. I just don't want to beat you guys over the head with the same analysis. It's kind of brutal, honestly. Like, going live throughout all this price action every single day is really hard because, like, the sentiment really doesn't change. My overall sentiment has not really changed much. We're kind of just in a chop zone. If we go down first, the biggest areas to pay attention to, $55,000 to $58,000, right? Put in those high time frame bullish divergences. We got the 3-day red dot confirmed, right? We looked at this last week. 4-day red dot also looking to print. So, I have been kind of neutral down here, whether we're going to get the squeeze up or the squeeze down, or squeeze up or the dump. But it's very simple. It's an if this, then that statement. If we wind up dropping lower, my shorts continue to pay me for much higher. I will look for the lower low to form here on the higher time frames. Red dot prints on the 4-day. Could still put in these high time frame bullish divergences. I think this would look very nice for a long-term macro bottom to be in. We're not guaranteed to get this, but I do prefer this scenario because it'll be a lot cleaner to say, now we have high time frame confirmations. Oh my God, this is beautiful. Right now we don't have that, right? We kind of just have currently bottomed on just capitulation, right? There's no bullish divergences. There's no real significant bottom signal, so to say. So, break 60K. I'm still looking at the same kind of thought process to look for a large bounce to the upside. If we squeeze up first, major target at around, I'll call it $84,000 to $86,000. And then, of course, right, if we stop off at 81K, we'll be live 100 times before that happens, very likely. We still have the stock market crashing. Yes, I'm actually going to take a look at this SPY with you guys. Obviously, we have covered this in the recent past. Where are we at? SPY, daily money flow coming out. We marked off these key levels. We tapped into the golden pocket. But one thing that we spotted here a while ago was this daily money flow crossover, right? What does this indicate, guys? It indicates the trend is likely to continue down. You get the low, the lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? Continuation of the downtrend. You're at support, right? At the end of the day, this is support. However, you do have this anchored VWAP sitting here. I believe this is pulled from the last low here in April. Let me just make sure that's accurate. Right, so we do have this anchored VWAP golden pocket 786 area. The one thing I will say is after we saw this daily money flow crossover into the red, of course, money flow indicates the overall trend, not the ebbs and flows, right? Could bounce, but you're looking for lower highs, lower lows, right? You're better off fading the highs, riding the trend when money flow is coming out. Works on stocks just like it does in crypto. 2-day money flow crossing into the red. Now, again, we're at support here. On a bounce here, guys, I have to say my bias for the stock market is going to be, if we do end up bouncing here, I have to look at this through the lens of a lackluster bounce, lower high and lower low, right? You have the 786 underneath you, sitting at about 634.96. This is going to be key support. Once we lose this, I'm really going to be looking down towards about 608. And overall, I would say money flow is pointing more to the downside. If that green dot prints on the 2-day, yes, money flow does not call the ebbs or flows, right? You could bounce, right? But that would be looked at as lackluster retracement, lower highs and lower lows, right? And then, of course, you have the 786 underneath you. Once you lose that, I'll be looking for the bigger drop down towards about 608. Now, what is crypto going to be doing in this case, right? Obviously, we all know when stocks dump, crypto obviously more often than not follows that. But the interesting thing here is, I don't want to say crypto can't go back down, right? If that ends up happening, maybe we wind up losing 60K, right? But this is not going to, here's the thing, right? I am a technical trader. If the stock market is dumping and Bitcoin, let's say Bitcoin's money flow is coming up, we're breaking into the low volume gap, I am not just going to ignore that on Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin breaks in that low volume gap, the chances of the push up are very likely in my opinion. And maybe that ends up happening. Here's maybe an idea of what could possibly happen there, right? Maybe the stock market gets that 2-day green dot. We get a retracement on the stock market, and then Bitcoin pumps even harder, right? Because obviously the percentage rip on Bitcoin is going to be much higher than the stock market. So maybe that could help you get that bigger push to the upside. If the stock market ends up having the 2-day money flow continue into the red, and this is indeed going to be a lower high for a lower low, maybe that is the rejection we get on Bitcoin for the lower high and the lower low. This is a scenario you could potentially see play out, right? And if the squeeze gets really crazy, we have the extra resistance up here. And not only is this a golden pocket 786 value area low, we also have a weekly and a monthly MPOC. Major resistance here, just in general. So that could be something we see play out. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out. I'm just waiting for the key levels. If we get up in here and Bitcoin does not look like it's going to put in the lower high, I'm going to be expecting higher prices, right? I just don't know what it's going to look like when it happens, right? If it happens. So, but yeah, I would say just overall in general, my sentiment here on the SPY would remain the same, right? Potential bounces for lackluster lower high, lower low, just like it was here on the daily. Lackluster bounces, lower highs, lower lows. Does that make sense? So yeah, I would say this does not look good, right? We've talked about this. This hasn't really been looking good for a while, for a few different reasons, right? Not only did we get the monthly bearish divergence printing, higher highs, lower highs, red dot prints. Typically, that will give you a pullback. On top of that, you have the money flow coming out, and just in general here, guys. This thing has been ripping to the upside for a very long time. It's just all-time high after all-time high after all-time high after all-time high, all-time high, and then you just kind of start to get this like distribution up here, right? You start to fizzle out. And then, once you have that money flow starting to come out, well, hey, maybe the downtrend starts coming in, right? So that's kind of how I'm going to be handling that when I look at the stock market against Bitcoin. Again, if Bitcoin looks like it's going to rip and the stock market is dumping, I'm probably just going to react off the technicals in general, but we'll see what happens. In general, I would say 2-day money flow. I mean, this is not necessarily what I like to see for, oh my God, brand new all-time high incoming. Not usually the case, right? But yeah, now, I want to come down here to the local time frames, guys, because I know, obviously not everybody's going to be holding long positions from where I'm long from, but let me just go ahead. Also tap that larger POC of the bigger range, but let me pull up this local profile. Actually, I don't even really need to pull this up. But one thing I will say, right, again, would I be looking for longs up here? No, not me personally. Right? I'm not saying you can't rip from here. I have to long as price is coming down. I have to long as price is coming down into a key level, Is price coming down into a key level right now? No, we are coming up into a key level. So the only thing I could do is be cautious for a pullback. But that does not mean, right, that the overall bias cannot remain, hey, potential continuation of the uptrend. So if we do get a pullback here, we're at resistance. I believe we have put in lower time frame bearish divergences. But the way I'm really going to be viewing this is, number one, if you reject the value area high, POC still remains the major target. And at the end of the day, I'm probably going to be favoring the value area low. If this POC is going to hold as the higher low, right, I do not want to come back down and revisit it, right? I want to put in a higher low above the POC before seeing the move to the upside. So what is underneath us, right? Again, for me, only thing I can look for here is some kind of a pullback. If it doesn't come in, that's fine, right? I'm already long. But what key levels do we have underneath us? In my opinion, if we pull our fib from the impulse to the high, we have this golden pocket sitting at about $69,350. The hope there would be to continue the uptrend, and this would be based off of the 90-minute time frame. All right, let me pull up that 90-minute real quick. Again, if we're going to get that money flow to cross into the green on the 90-minute, if we get a pullback, I want to see higher lows form here, and then eventually, of course, the big thing you have to do is get out of the value area. Technically, as long as you remain below this value area high, coming back down to the POC is on the table. But if this money flow can cross green, I will be not necessarily interested in taking the position myself, but I would be interested in looking at this as a potential opportunity for a bounce, right? Lackluster pullback, higher low, higher high, if that money flow can cross into the green. And, of course, another thing to look for there is the green dot on the daily. So biggest areas of interest for me personally, right? And, again, I'm not really interested in this because I'm already long from lower. Similar to this, right? We have the setup here in the premium Discord to take the long. I didn't take it personally because I'm long from lower, right? And to be honest, I'm running out of, I need to make new accounts because I'm running out of accounts to open more positions on. But this would be major level number one, right? If we, I can't guarantee you get the full pullback, but if you get that golden pocket 786, 69,355 to 68,681. Let me see this real quick. Pull this anchored VWAP. This would be worth looking at as well. It's not confluent, I guess you do still have a little bit. Oh, come on. Oh, I'm on the wrong chart here. That's why. There we go. That was the laggy chart. Let me just close this one. Okay, so yeah. Oh man, I really would like that to be a little bit. Well, actually, let me pull the full retracement here. Yeah. Yeah, I personally like this level a bit better. Because here's the thing. Pull up EXO charts here real quick. We do have a potential daily MPOC to confirm here at, depending on the daily close, $68,577. So $68,577. I'm just going to put this as like a intermediary level, right, or a temporary level in case it changes. But if we could get this daily MPOC down here, you got your daily MPOC, 786 golden pocket. It's a big zone, right? But if I were to look for, if I was not holding a long position and I wanted to try to catch a long, which again, I would be more interested in the value area low personally. But I know a lot of people are going to be like looking to take longs. I don't want anyone just like longing into the wrong levels, right? This would be what I would be personally waiting for, right? Maybe hold anchor VWAP. I would be analyzing price as we push in here, looking for confirmation, right? If we could put in the low, the higher low, 90-minute money flow continues into the green. I think this is really the only place to be looking for bounces until, if we don't hold these higher lows, whether it's this golden pocket, whether you have to pull it down to the low, if you don't get the confirmations up here, this zone would obviously move down. If you can't hold this, guys, in my opinion personally, come down, hold the higher low for another higher high. If that fails, I'll be looking down towards the value area low, which we all know is the level that holds us back. Pull it up on a higher time frame. This is the level that will be holding us back from potentially sending it down to $60,000. You have the weekly, the value area low, the golden pocket, and then, of course, this trend line is no longer perfectly aligned with the value area low, right? Because you're going to have it a little bit, it's not really confluent anymore at the value area low. So you did kind of lose that confluence, but you do have the weekly, the value area low, and the golden pocket. In my opinion, guys, if we wind up rotating below this POZ, this is the last place to bounce. I will be interested in bounces here. And at this point, if we come take out this low, I'll be stopped out of my current long position. So I actually will be interested in taking that trade personally, right? Not that this setup in the Discord, just because I didn't take it because I was positioned down here, doesn't make it a bad trade setup or anything. But again, I'm just not looking to take it because I'm already long from lower. In this case, I will be stopped out of my long, so I will be interested in taking that position. And then this is honestly the last place, in my opinion, to hold before seeing $60,000. Once we lose this decisively, technically you do have the 786 and your daily MPOC slightly below this. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll be interested in scalps here, but at the my personal opinion, I think if we don't hold this value area low, if I do take a long here, it's probably going to be a scalp into the value area low, and at that point, I'd probably be expecting a bearish retest for a loss of 60K. Because the overall thought process here is as long as we remain with the higher lows and the higher highs, money flow coming up on the higher time frames, we can be open to potential higher lows, higher highs, potential higher lows, higher highs. Once we lose that, it's invalidated, and I'm looking below 60K. I still would prefer this to be the case, but not from a probability perspective. I said this to the premium Discord earlier today. Last week, when I said my preference for price action was to stay inside the volume profile and go to the POC, that was from a probability perspective. This was actually the higher probability scenario. When I talk about this bigger move down to break 60K, I'm not necessarily saying it from a probability perspective. Like, I think that's the higher probability, but I just would like that to be a nice clean bottom, right? That's why I prefer that. Not from a probability perspective. Two different things. This was the actual higher probability. This is just my preference, right? A lot of times the market doesn't like to give you your preference, right? Market does not care about your preference. So that's what I'm looking at. If we get the pullback locally, we also take a look at the liquidation heat maps here real quick. We do still have a little liquidity sitting up here above 72K, right? So I'll give you some, local levels here, right? We could play around with this value area high a little bit, but at the end of the day, we get stuck back in. Like, I don't care if we got to push up here and we get out of this value area, I would not take a long, right? I'm not telling you what to do, right? Me personally, I would not take a long off this. If anything, I'd be looking for a short, right? We might play around with the value area high, but as long as we stay in here, the only opportunity for me where I would be looking to take a long would be on that higher low scenario on the Fibonacci retracement, anchored VWAP, etc., right? It's the only place I would really be looking. Once we lose that, POC is your last level, but again, I would like to keep this higher low. Once you lose this, I'm probably looking for the move down here, right? So for me, I'm only interested in down here. If you're not holding any longs, potential bounce opportunities here. Again, I'm not going to give you the setup, but I will give you the key levels, right? So key level of local support, 69,352, 68,701. That's the big level to look at, right? Or local level to look at. We lose that. That fails. We continue down to the value area low. This is the level. Do not want to lose this. Mark my words. I'd be okay. I'd be okay with deviations below, reacceptance back in. But once we can't get it back inside here, I'm looking below $60,000 into these major $58,000 to $55,000 levels. Same stuff we have been looking at forever. But we have gotten a little bit of development here. So we'll see what happens. And then that liquidity, of course, reason why I'm open to kind of playing around here a little bit is because we do have that liquidity. We might get sucked up towards that liquidity. But again, that's not a long opportunity for me. That would be a short opportunity for me personally. All right, let me pull up in the chat. I have not checked in on chat in a while here. Yeah, clean bottom smells better. Shout out to the Light Swift Raven. Yeah, we like clean bottoms. Clean your bottoms, guys. Get some dude wipes. Get a bidet. Let's see. Shout out to Susie. Says, the fact that so many people are bearish makes me bullish. Yeah, I say this all the time. It's like, my decisions are based off the chart. Sometimes, more often than not, if I have a bullish bias, the majority of people are bearish. I'm a trader. I'm a technical trader. That just typically puts you on the contrarian side. But at the end of the day, like, I do want to be, for anyone that's like just kind of starting out, if your technical bias is bullish and the masses are bullish, you have to understand the masses are right sometimes too. They're wrong way more than they're right. But like, just full disclosure, I don't think that's something you should not look at or pay attention to. But if I saw, like, it just so happens that a lot of my bullish biases, right, or my bearish biases, for example, here on this 2-day money flow coming out, we start talking about, hey, guys, I hate to say it. I know you're not going to like me, but it looks like 126K. If we get accepted into this profile with money flow coming out, it's looking a lot more like 126K could be the top. At this point, literally had people saying, bull market is just starting. In that case, I'm like, okay, this all makes sense, right? Oh my God, we're going to go to 200K, tops in, bear market. Very, very common. But at the end of the day, if the chart looked bullish up here and everyone was saying the bull market is just starting and the charts were saying the bull market is just starting, which they weren't, I would go with the charts anyway. I would never just like fade a technical bias based off of what the masses think. Sometimes I'll think about it, right? Like, I do see now a lot of people are interested in these low 50s. That does make me think, when it's kind of like a crapshoot, I've been kind of talking about how I'm somewhat neutral here. If we pop up, guys, my long's going to cook. If we rip down, my shorts are going to cook, right? At this point, I'm very beautifully hedged here, so I'm in a really comfortable position. So I don't really care what happens here. I'm going to make money in either direction, basically without doing anything. But now I do see a lot of people starting to talk about these low 50s, which makes me it's hard, right? I kind of think to myself, maybe it does make sense to come and squeeze first. But again, I'm not going to make the decisions based off that. But it is a thought that goes through my head. Shout out to Muselli. Says, do too much fees ever make it more sensible to close a trade? If so, when? Yeah, I mean, I guess depending on your situation. People always talk about fees. To me, fees are a cost of doing business, right? Like, I mean, if you're, I guess, like, if you're break even against your, it really depends on the situation, right? Like, very rarely, like, let's say, for example, my long position here, right? Let's say I take the long position. Let's say I'm up like $4,000 right now, right? I think I'm like close to like $4,000, I think. Yeah, $4,072, right? If I was like, there's no situation really where I'm going to be negative $4,000 in fees. If that were the case, I don't know, maybe you cut it, but that's not typically a situation. I don't really run into that situation. So, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a specific question. But more often than not, anytime you take a position, you're going to start off with like negative realized profits a lot of the time, just because of your fees. But that really only remains the case while you're sitting at break even. Like let's say I take a long here and then we slip down a little bit, right? I'm in a long, I'm negative on fees, right? And then like once I pop up a little bit, I'm going to start covering the fees plus profit, right? So it's very rare. I never do that. I've never really closed a position because of my fees. Again, I don't know the specific scenario you're talking about, but shout out to Crypto Sharknado, said new all-time high confirmed. Oh, God. That'd be nice. Spoken like a true mobster, Frankie. Shout out to Lakeville. Welcome in. Low 50s in October when China-Taiwan conflict starts. Yeah. I mean, the other thing is what strategy do I trade? I mean, I have my own kind of strategy, but I would say if I had to classify myself as a trader, I'd be like a fake out trader, which is basically like I'm a volume profile. I would classify myself as a volume trader, or like a volume profile trader, which means like the basis of my strategy is looking at value, right? Typically deviate above the highs. That's where I look for shorts. Tap into the lows, deviate below. That's where I look for longs. Deviate above the highs, failed auctions. I'm looking for shorts. Get accepted into the range. I'm looking to rotate back to fair value. It's kind of like a mean reversion, right? Expensive, cheap. Inside the profile is your fair value, right? So when you're up here, you're expensive, you're looking to sell it back into fair value, and the lower end of your value, come down, you're looking to buy it back into fair value, into your upper end of fair value, right? And then overextended, back in, back to the PLC, back to fair value, right? If you can't break out here, who knows? Maybe we get back down to the value area low. More often than not, my main trades are always at a value area high or a value area low. And again, that could be either directly into it for the case of the long. That was taken right at the value area low with a slight deviation. Sometimes they're failed auctions on bigger deviations. I like these, right? Because on these, right, when I took this short setup during the time, right, we talked about this trade, showed it, deviate above the high, right? If I get those confirmations at a key level, which we did have up here, we had daily naked points of controls up here. I get those confirmations, I take the short. This is really nice. Why? Because at the end of the day, even if I get a little cool off and I continue up for a higher low and a higher high, and we get outside the value area and continue up to seek out higher value, it's still a scalp that can play out. I can lock in some profits, move my stop loss to break even. At this point, when price is hanging out at that value area high, I'm in a guaranteed winning trade. Frankie, that's not true. That can't be true. How could you take a guaranteed winning trade? By the way you manage it, right? You're never going to be able to long or short and say, this trade's guaranteed. You can have high confidence, of course. There's trades where I have lower confidence, trades where I have higher confidence or conviction. But at this point, you're really shorting at the highs. And even if you get a pullback for a lackluster retracement and a continuation up, you can take partial profits here, move your stop loss to break even. Now, the worst case scenario is price continues up and you stop out in profit, right? So you still make money. And then, of course, more often than not, we are taking the long positions as well, right? Which means literally in that case, you're either getting stopped out of the short in profit and then the long continues to play out, or you're getting, in this case, I took this short and then this long, right? You're either going to, and then even here, right, you're either going to hold the long, stop out of the short in profit, which is what happened to me. I took most money off the table here, and then I got stopped out the rest in profit, or maybe break even, I don't even remember. But I made a bunch of money on this move, and then what happens, right? Okay, cool, short didn't play out, long continues to cook. So I would consider myself like a volume profile trader for the most part. I also use order flow, stuff like that. Market cipher B, right? It's kind of hard to classify me. I've kind of taken the volume profile strategy and incorporated other things to kind of make something that works for me. Frankie puts pineapple on his pizza. Shout out to H-Bar Moonboy. Don't put me in that box. I only like pineapple pizza from Domino's, which isn't even pizza. It's just fast food. It's not real pizza. Let's see. We have an April Fool's coming up. These times, I flipped the chart upside down. Oh, man, are we going to get faked out here on April Fool's? That'd be trash. That'd be trash. So just maybe fake out to the upside. I don't know. I do prefer the move down, but it'd be nice. Honestly, guys, if we break out of this range, I'll be happy. Number one, I'll be making money in either direction. Number two, we'll be outside of the range. It's the same thing like in here, right? I talked about how this is starting to look like this. This is like the most hated range ever for me on crypto or on Bitcoin, right? Not from a trading perspective. We were slapping this thing up and down for money, but from a content perspective, it's just like once I talk about that high time frame bias, which of course was lower highs and massive lower lows to come, which, hey, shout out to the crypto gods, wound up playing out. But I can, that's like I say that 1, 2, 3 times, and then we're streaming here for months. It's like hard to just come up here and repeat the same thing. It's like so brutal for me. Probably brutal for a lot of people that are just like, man, nothing's changing. But, you know, we're a slave to the information on the chart. So he's a Frankie Candle trader. Shout out to Rudy. That's right. Again, I did not invent the volume profiles. I did not invent Fibonacci retracements. I did not invent market cipher. I did not invent order flow. I just kind of combine those things into my own type of trading strategy. So, but yeah. Let's see. Alexandra G in the chat. Shout out to Alexandra. Welcome in. I might need extra holding if I run out of trading funds. Shout out to Bailey. Hopefully you're not running out of trading funds. What's the money flow doing? From a money flow perspective, to be quite honest, guys, we'll just go top down. Simple top down analysis. Is this bearish or bullish on the weekly? Technically, money flow is still in the red. Nothing's really changed here for me. Now, does this indicate to me that this is the start of the bear market? No. Right, why? Because when we see this weekly money flow crossover, it's very simple. I just tried to mark it off, but I'm hiding the TA. When you get that initial money flow crossover, I'm going to have to I'll pull it up on 2021, right? You get the big capitulation down. Money flow crosses over, big capitulation. At this point, even if you were looking at this as the major capitulation, at this point, you are better off looking for a bottom. 2026 bottom watch. Hashtag 2026 bottom watch. I'll say it again. I say it every stream. Whether you're looking at this as the first capitulation or this whole leg is the capitulation, at this point, you are better off looking for a bottom to form, right? Because typically with money flow, on other time frames, once that money flow crosses red, right? Like let's say this was, the daily time frame, I would be very interested in a big continuation of the downtrend, right? Like at the start of a major trend down. But on the weekly, you get that crossover, the big capitulation, and at that point, do you continue down? Does this still indicate lower highs and lower lows? Yes, it does. But you're better off looking for an overall high time frame bottom. So when I look at this, is this money flow bullish? No. From a binary perspective, not really. It's in the red. But you've already gotten a big capitulation down. So I would say, regardless of what happens here, I am much more interested in looking for a bottom to form rather than looking at this as the first crossover for a lower high and then like a massive start of a huge, gigantic downtrend. And that's just been the case through the past. Right? That was 2021. Weekly money flow crossover, big capitulation, bottom forms. You do go lower, but you're better off looking for a bottom than saying the bull market is just starting. Just like up here, you're better off looking for a top, like we were, instead of saying the bull market was just starting. The bull market started down here, just like the bear market started up here. The bear market did not just start, in my opinion. I just smacked myself in the face with the mic, in my opinion. Take that for what it's worth, right? Here, weekly money flow crossover, big capitulation. Do you put in another low? Yes. Were you better off looking for a bottom or saying this was the bear market just starting? Right? If you're treating this as typical money flow, you're looking for a massive downtrend. On the weekly, typically money flow crosses over, one capitulation, you could start looking for a bottom. So back to money flow analysis. Is the weekly bearish or bullish? I would just say it's bearish technically, but nothing really new here. Right? We spotted this weekly money flow crossover, money flow coming out all the way up here, anticipating the big capitulations. We got them. They've happened. Doesn't mean you can't make a new low. I'm going to be very interested in those lows, looking for a bottom. If we lose 47K, we can start talking about, maybe the first time ever weekly money flow crossover indicating the massive continuation of the trend. You kind of want to catch these weekly money flow crossovers early. You don't want to be late to them. So weekly, same thing, right? 6-day. What are we supposed to take away from this? Red, green, right? And this is why I've kind of been like a little bit, like just kind of like indifferent down here, right? We break down, cool, I'm paid. We break up, cool, I'm paid, right? It's hard to say like a super big, a strong bias here. It's like I almost want to say that I feel like the squeeze up is more likely because now everyone's looking down to the low 50s. You do have the bullish market structure technically. Once we break above 74K, the bias becomes very strong, move to the upside. But 6-day, very choppy. I can't really take much away from this. 5-day, and we can even compare this to the previous cycles. 5-day, red, green, back in the red. VWAP is coming down, right? So it's like there's an argument for both cases here, which is oftentimes the case, right? Sometimes up here, very confident. There was no argument here for me to say we were going to new all-time highs. The only argument I had here was a capitulation. We got it. Here, it's very difficult, right? 5-day VWAP rolling over, 4-day VWAP looking for the red dot. Also looking to print bull divs potentially, which could say, hey, maybe we're ready to print those bullish divergences. But then again, right, we break above 74K. That's kind of out the window. I'm looking for the squeeze to the upside. It is what it is, right? But again, right, we're positioned beautifully for that. A lot of people be like, well, is it going up or down? How do you make money, right? Well, you have to position yourself correctly. You don't have to know that you're going down to 60K to take a short on the failed auction, take profits, move your stop loss. Now at this point, right, in the premium, we have the failed auction here. You pay yourself, POC gets tapped, that's a TP, stop loss at break even, you're in a guaranteed winning short trade here. I don't know if it's going to go up or down, but hey, if it goes down, I'm paid. And I took the long in the Discord, I'm the long, right? So if it pays out here, cool. And now I'm in a situation where I win or lose either way, right? Not longing and shorting at the same time, right? Positioning at the highs, positioning at the lows, taking money off the table as price goes in your direction, and then hedging yourself. It's the best way to trade, in my opinion, right? Not, down here, I don't say, I have the idea of like maybe this is a higher low for a higher high, but I don't need to be absolutely certain this is going to be a higher high. Why? Because when I take this long, I could take a little money off the table. You could be in 2 guaranteed winning trades here. You could be in a guaranteed winning short here. If it drops down to below 60K, cool, you're short from the high. You can also be in the long position here. You've already hit the value area high for a TP1, stop loss to break even, right? Or even if you keep your stop loss open, you could probably still close that at a profit. Doesn't matter what happens here, right? If it stops you out of the long and profit, short continues to pay. If the long plays out, short stops out in profit, you continue to get paid. It's exactly the situation I was in right here. I shorted this. I made like almost $4,000 on this drop to the downside, took it off the table, kept a portion of it open, took the long. At this point, when we look at this and the charts are choppy and we don't know if there's a high probability of a drop down to 60K or the continuation up to 80K, it doesn't matter, right? If the long continues to play, beautiful. I'm long. If the short continued to play, I would have taken a small loss on this and the short would have paid me out, covering my losses plus profit. So there you go. Macro inverse head and shoulders. I'm not personally a pattern trader. I don't personally see a head and shoulders here. I'm not saying it's not there. I don't know exactly what time frame you're looking at. Try to spot it. Something like that, maybe? I don't know. I'm not a pattern trader for very specific reasons. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Could be. I don't know exactly what time frame you're looking at. Oh, monthly? Monthly head and shoulders? Oh, monthly inverse head and shoulders. I don't really see that either. Could be there. I don't know exactly what you're looking at. I do not personally see inverse head and shoulders here, though. But yeah, whether you're looking at inverse head and shoulders, money flow, doesn't matter. Oh, there we go. Wow, timer went off and instantly died. Schlong is the best way to trade. Shout out to Lindo. Schlong it, baby. Schlong it. Let me just see something real quick here, guys. I'm going to move away from the microphone because I'm about to scream. Mrs. Candles! I don't know if Mrs. Candles is here, but if she is, stick around for a very special Frankie fake out here. But yeah, I think I covered pretty much everything here, guys. Right now, I'll give you the major key levels. Like I said, short stream today, guys. But don't tune out just yet. Don't tune. Yeah, there it is. Ah, shout out to Bald and Swole. Yo, shout out to you, bro. I like that name. Upside down Bart, maybe. But yeah, for me personally, I am simply either going to let the long play out, right? And again, scrub back to the beginning of the stream to kind of look at the biases and kind of exactly what, like in detail, what I'm looking at. But at the end of the day, guys, we could chop around up here at the value area high. If we wind up getting stuck in here, wait, come back in like 5 minutes. I didn't know if you were here. I didn't know if you were in here. All right, I'll call you back in like 2 seconds. All right. Or you could just hang out here for a second. Oh, God, guys, it's going to be hard to finish now. But if you take a look here, right, get stuck inside the value area. Remember, we do have liquidity above the high. I think if you come back into the value area, I will be looking back down to those local golden pocket retracements. I would simply be looking at the full retracement. This sits between about 69K and 68,298. Again, you can look at this through the lens of, come on down to a lower time frame here, right? Me personally, I can't look for longs up here. I only look for longs at the lows. I would either be looking at the full fib, or you could pull it from the impulse, come a little lower there, or pull it from where you got pretty impulsive right here. You got the anchored VWAP. All right, so I'd mark it out like this. 69,465 to 68,697. If you're not holding any longs, not financial advice, for me, if you want to learn or listen to what or not listen, if you just want to know what I'd be looking at, if I were not holding along, this is where I would have to look. And then if we end up coming down there, we have to break out of that value area for the bigger move up. Break through $74,000. I think that's really where you just get the bigger squeeze to the upside. And if this ends up failing, right, as long as we remain inside this profile, I have to say, sure, maybe a higher low. Not even really a trade that I would love just because it's in the middle of the profile. Would have to view that as a scalp in case you stay inside here. If the POC fails, this is the biggest level to look at. To be honest, like the trades are kind of hard up here. This is why you want to make sure you have notifications turned on so you're aware of these levels before they get tapped. If you watch Friday's live stream, you'll be aware of these levels. That's an area I'm interested in. This is just an intermediary honorable mention level. If you're going to continue that trend, Golden Pocket 786 is what I would look at. Once that fails, you lose the POC. Biggest level sits at about 66 to 65.5 at the value area low. That is the level that we have to hold. If we want to see the bigger continuation up, in my opinion, you have to hold this value area. And then maybe if we don't get the push up first, maybe we have to go back down, retest that value area low before seeing the bigger push up into the golden pocket. 786, really between 78 and call it $86,000, the bigger targets we looked at earlier in the stream. If you just tuned in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream to get all the full details, but I just wanted to leave you guys with those actual key levels to mark off on your chart. 69,465, 68,697. Lose that. We're looking between 66 and I would say 65.5. Again, scrub back to the beginning of the stream to get more details on those. And then the move to the upside, if you want another key level of resistance, you have the weekly golden pocket and the 786 daily MPOC. Again, I'm not as interested in this necessarily. For a big trade, I would have to be viewing this as a scalp. If that 90-minute money flow is coming up, I have to look at that for a potential continuation, right? So maybe a scalp down to the value area low, stop loss to break even. If it get the higher low, cool. Give it to send it to the upside. If it fails and we get the big drop down, well, perfect. We'll be short from the high, as per usual. So there you go, guys. There you go. Anyone tried Pringles Hot Ones? Shout out to Creighton C. Caliente is fire, literally fire. Tastes good though. Shout out to Creighton C. I don't hate spicy stuff, but I don't understand. I don't know if it's a gene. I have friends that like hot stuff that is like unbearable. What is the appeal of that? Like, it tastes good. Like, you get like really good tasting hot sauce, but like, wouldn't it be good if it was just like acceptably spicy and not like light your tongue on fire, make your nose run hot? Like, what is that enjoyment? It tastes good, but it hurts. Like, wouldn't it just taste better if it didn't hurt as much? I don't know. Dill pickle flaming hot Cheetos, though. Oh my God! Wow, I need to go back to the snack section of the grocery store because apparently I'm missing like primetime snacks here. These all sound fire. No pun intended. Shout out to Rudy. Said thanks, Frankie. Say hi to your puppy. The puppy Roo for me. Shout out to Rudy. So yeah, guys, there is a new Frankie Candles or CandleMafia family member here. Mrs. Candles, please bring the Tasmanian Devil. Oh no, she sounds like she's having a rough time here. She sounds. Hang on, guys. Hang on. I don't know. I think Mrs. Candles is getting bullied outside. She's just a baby. Don't let her push you around. Oh, wait until I think we're landing on a name. Shout out to Rudy. If we wind up calling the puppy Roo would be hilarious. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here she is. This is my new puppy. Look at her. Look at her. Good girl. She's very cute, but she's also a demon sometimes. But she's gonna. Oh, okay. Good girl. What should we name this puppy? Put a puppy in the chat. Put a. What, you landed on the name? Yes. Okay. What is it? All right. Mrs. Candles just named her. No, it's been named. Her name is Lucy. Lucy, the demon. Frankie's puppy has just ended the war. This could be true. This could be true. Guys, I've been waiting so long to get a puppy, and we needed to do it. So now we have another CandleMafia mascot. We have Phoebe the goat, and we got Lucy, the apparently Australian Shepherd. They told us at the place. I said, what kind of dog is she? And they said, she's an Australian Shepherd mix. Looks awfully like a pit bull to me. But that's Lucy. She loves you guys, and you're going to see a lot more of her. Now go. She's a good girl. I don't want to give her up. Oh, she's looking at my. Oh God, she's going to bite me. All right. We love you. We love you, Lucy. The CandleMafia loves you. These are your cousins. These are your new cousins. Now you're in the Mafia. You can't leave, and we're going to put you on hit jobs. But anyway, this is Lucy, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys tomorrow right here on the Frank Candles YouTube channel. Go, Lucy. Go get him. Go get him. Go get him. Be a demon. That's all I got. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss these key levels. Or if you don't want to smash the like button for the TA and the key levels, smash it for puppies. That's all I got. I'll see you tomorrow. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, man, we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. go. At the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on a roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it